Chad, what are you doing?
I'm washing the banana peppers.
Yeah, so we're in a full-blown food preservation mode here. Got a bunch of peppers that have been harvested, sweet chocolate, the Cornel de Toro. We don't really have many yet. I don't think we've got any of the red Marconis yet. Oh, maybe this is a red Marconi. It's more... We got a bunch that are still pending though that are about 8 inches long out in the garden. We got a ton of banana peppers, a ton of red tide chilies. She's washing up the banana peppers right now. We're going to try to pickle those later on. I need to look up a recipe. So while she's doing the peppers, I've got a ton of tomatoes I need to work through. We didn't get to these last time. We kind of sorted them out, those that are ripe versus those that aren't. And the ones that aren't are starting to ripen up. I put our big slicers here out on the rail to get some sun. They're starting to redden up. We've got some salsa that we just finished cooking. I'm letting that cool, and I'm going to season it with some cumin and salt, and we're going to can that. And then I'm going to break open this bad boy. We got this last year. Dad gave this to us. It needs to be washed up. But we're going to try to dehydrate our hot peppers. I got a ton of red tide chilies, which we're not going to eat very many of those fresh. So what my thought is, I'm going to dehydrate them and grind them up in seasoning that we can use, you know, for pizzas and things like that. You know, get a couple shaker bottles and maybe give some away. But I want to test this thing out. We did use it before to try to dry some herbs, and I think I had the setting, it was up too high and actually burned the basil that I was trying to dehydrate. So we're going to try it with peppers this year and just see how it goes. Alright, so we've determined which peppers we're going to keep out whole. We're just going to, once these are washed, freeze them out whole for stuffed peppers. In the meantime, Emma and Ruthie are working on coring the peppers that we're going to cut up into rings. Good job, Chop. Nothing left to do. Wait a minute. Alright, so we finished up lunch, and now we're in the middle of processing the peppers, kind of like what we did last year. We're just cutting them up in rings using the food processor for pizzas and stuff like that. Works out pretty good. All of these here we're going to save for stuffed peppers. Gonna run these through, and then we're going to focus on the banana peppers, getting those run through, and then we're going to try to pickle those today. Alright, so we just finished processing the banana peppers here. We're going to pickle those. In the meantime, Emma is kind of gauging how many peppers to put. That's probably good, huh? There you go. That's smart.
Just like me.
Yeah. Alright, so about 5 bags, 2 cups of peppers, sweet peppers and that for pizzas. Let's get the food dehydrator going. So we got a slew of hot peppers here. Most of these are red tide chilies. We do have a few red cayennes. They're mixed in the batch here. I did set aside some to save seeds. What we're going to do is wash these up. And then I'm thinking we'll remove the caps. And then we're going to set up this bad boy. I need to read the instructions on that. But get a couple trays of hot peppers going. Get those dried out thoroughly, and then we're going to grind them up for seasoning. Alright, instructions are simple enough. Just there's some basic instructions. Fruits and vegetables, we want to set at 135 degrees. Time-wise, we can adjust that.
Well, look at this.
Depending, yeah. So right now I got Bud processing the peppers for me. Got him a pair of scissors. He's just cutting the ends off so that we open them up so that they dry out faster. Once he gets them cut, he's going to lay them out on the tray. We'll probably have enough for 2 trays.
It's okay if there's seeds on them.
Yeah, just watch your fingers, bud. So we'll test this out again. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's not right on the bottom. We're going to set it up like 2 trays up and see how it goes this year. Last year, you know, I don't know, I think it just got too hot. Too fast to burn the basil. Good job, bud. Good job. Alright, so we finished processing the red Thai chilies. We got 2 trays full. We're going to go ahead and turn this sucker on. We're going to set the temperature at 135. Set the time. We'll set it for 2 hours. Kind of see how that goes. So pretty easy operation. Just turn it on once. First setting is for the temperature, and then hit this and start hitting the time. Put this together. Put a lid on top. And there we go. We'll check back and later on see how things are going. In the meantime, we're going to focus on pickling our banana peppers over there and canning up our salsa. Alright, so while we got the peppers dehydrating, we got the banana rings or banana pepper rings in the fridge, we are getting ready to wash up these San Marzanos.
Look at all this.
So Bud's filling the big cooler with tomatoes. We got some water in there. He's going to kind of rinse them. Then we'll let the water out.
Hey, why does this one get it? Hey, why did this one?
It's just blossom mineral, but it's fine. So he's gonna get those going, soaking anything that had a little dirt on it, just to clean them off before we slice them up. We got the turkey burner going. We've got a case of jars that we're gonna just lay that to the side here.
No?
Yeah, really, just put it right here, bud. Not bad. Anyway, we're going to sterilize these jars. I'll get this to a rolling boil, and we're going to sterilize the jars and then get the lids softened up. And then take the jars. Actually, what I'll probably do is bring the salsa outside. And we will fill the jars with salsa, and then we will water bath can this batch of salsa. Alright, so we've sanitized the jars. I've got about 10. We actually had almost enough for 11, so we just kept the other one for fresh eating. And then a little bit of a 12th jar here.
Daddy,
because we had some from the other day. We're gonna roast some tomatoes, honey.
Why not make more salsa?
Well, because we got enough.
But what about that one jar?
This is a little bit hotter batch. We got some red Thai chilies in it along with jalapenos, I think. Yeah, I put a couple in there. I'm boiling the lids right now to soften them up so that there's a real nice seal. The other thing is just to run my finger around the rings, make sure there isn't any residue or anything that would keep them from sealing. So it looks good. We'll get those out, get them sealed, and then we're going to use the same water there to water bath can our salsa. Alright, so we got our canner loaded. I've got 10 pints in there. We'll see how things go. Water bath can is for about 15 minutes. We'll pull them out and we should be good to go. Alright, so the evening is winding down. It's about 7:30. We got all the salsa processed, all my jars sealed. We got all the aromas that were ripe processed. There's another batch here. There's still, probably by Tuesday or Wednesday, those will be ready. They're looking pretty good. I'll show you the roasted tomatoes here real quick. So we had probably about 2 big bowls full. We cut these in halves. And this is how we're preparing them. We got them on cookie sheets, face down, putting some olive oil on there, just kind of liberally coating them. 7 or 8, 10 cloves of garlic on each pan. And then we roasted, let's see, 375. for 40 minutes. This is the end result. Roasted tomatoes and garlic. We're just putting them all in a stock pot, and then once these are done, we process everything. We'll put this in the fridge overnight, and then the next day we'll work on canning it. So, all right, good afternoon. Welcome back to my little gardening show. Got home from work. It's time to finish processing the peppers and the tomatoes that we started this past weekend. The peppers have been in the food dehydrator here, again, probably total about 15, 16, actually probably about 20 hours altogether. Make them nice and crisp, dry, so that when I throw them in the food processor, it's going to grind them up real nice into a seasoning. So I'll show you the peppers and what we're going to do from there. So here's the peppers. They've turned out perfect. They're nice and crisp. Should grind up pretty well in the Vitamix. We are going to use the Vitamix for this. Doing it in small batches. As you can see, I got plenty of red Thai chilies. Again, we're going to make this into a seasoning. We can add to chili, pizzas, anything really that needs some spice. Thought about keeping some of these whole, but more I thought about it, more I thought it'd be better just go ahead and get these ground up. Now there are some cayenne chilies, or cayenne peppers in here too, but most of them are red Thai chilies. We cut the caps off to help facilitate the whole drying of the veggies here. So we're going to get started on processing them. Now one thing I need to be careful about is I need to be careful on making sure this stays sealed, and then maybe opening this outdoors after everything's settled, because otherwise there's going to get pepper dust in the air, and it could be a little bit unpleasant. So I am going to have to be a little careful as I'm doing this, since these are a little bit hotter pepper. So what I'm going to do is just drop a few in. The peppers are completely dry, so I don't have to worry so much about residue getting on my hands, as long as I'm not playing around with the seeds. The external skins, are not hot to the touch. It's the interior that could get me in trouble. Alright, so our first batch is loaded. Basically, I went ahead and just put the whole tray in there. I'm going to start this out on low and just see what happens. So that busted some of them. Yeah, don't. Alright, so far so good. Just being patient with this. Turn it up just a little bit. Alright, so the first batch is done, and we're going to let that sit, let the residue kind of settle before we open this up. Okay, so my first batch of pepper flakes are ground up. I decided to move this outside before opening this. So So we can get a good picture of this. You'll be able to tell a little bit. I had to turn up the Vitamix and pulverize this a little bit more because the flakes were a little too big. But I'm going to open this and then see how much we get in the jar here. Alright, so let's see how it turned out here. I'm trying to be gentle with this. I don't want to agitate a bunch of pepper dust. You can kind of see there pepper flakes. The sun's kind of shining there, so let's see if we can move this over. Kind of the consistency there. We'll see if we can get the rust out of the pitcher there. Alright, so it's a fair amount of pepper flakes. I've got another batch to run through the Vitamix here, but that's basically it. And then you can buy a lid. It's a modified. It's just basically a plastic lid that's designed with like a sprinkle top, a flip top that you can flip up to use a seasoning. I could open it up and just spoon stuff out, but that's gonna add some kick to our dishes. Here's a jar that we made up, I think 2 years ago, and this is the flip top lid I'm talking about, where you can sprinkle that out. You can see I still have plenty of topping left, and I use this almost every Friday night, when we're making pizzas. But this thing was chopped full, now about 3/4 of the way full. But this will last several years, really, at least for myself. And these are primary cayenne pepper flakes, I believe, not the Thai chilies. So this seasoning here is going to be a little bit more spicy. Thought we'd continue the adventure with the roasted San Marzano tomatoes. So over the weekend we roasted probably 4 or 5 pans worth of tomatoes. Processed them and all that. They've been down in the fridge for the last couple days. Decided tonight to go ahead and run them through the Vitamix to make a nice, pretty nice sauce. It's got a good flavor. I'm getting ready to can it up now, so I'll show you what the end result is real quick. So there it is, a big bowl of tomato sauce. It's kind of chunky. I didn't run it through like, super fine. I wanted to give it some texture so that depending on the dish, we can kind of either run it through finer, when we get ready to use it, or leave it as is. I'm not sure how many quarts I'm going to get. I guess 7, because it's a pretty large bowl. We'll see. It might be a little less than that. It might be more. Who knows? But we're going to get started with canning it up. So again, we are sanitizing our jars down there. I need to rotate those around. And we'll get this started here. My handy dandy cleaning funnel. And my little canning ladle. The reason I ran it through as sauce is because I didn't want there to be any kind of air pockets in the jars. I could have just tried to can the tomatoes whole, but it would just been a little bit more of a challenge. There's one jar. I'm thinking I'm going to get more than 7, just based on what I see there with the one. We'll be using this in like lasagna and spaghetti sauce. That's one thing that's nice about the San Marzano tomatoes, is that they're pretty much almost all meat. Very little liquid in them, as far compared to like a regular like slicer tomato. All right, let's get some more jars. Well, looks like we got 10 jars out of that batch. That's pretty good. All right, so my jars are filled. I've got the extra pans out of the way. My rings and lids are in the cooker there. Once I put the rings and lids on, I'm gonna switch gears and basically get my stoneware pot on there because it's deeper, and dump this water in there and then add to it, so I've got enough water to cover these quart-sized jars. And we're just going to water bath can it. Again, the acid content of the tomatoes should be enough to where, you know, we shouldn't have any problems. Alright, so I got the lids and rings on my jars. I've got my stoneware pot on the flame now. Need to add a little bit more water, and then we're going to start water bath canning here. Alright, so now we're well on our way. First 4 jars in. I'll be canning probably for the next hour then, because I'll have to do this in 3 batches since I've got 10 jars. But well worth it. Homemade sauce, I know exactly what's in it. It's just simple ingredients, and should taste really good this winter. Well, here's the end result of my labors tonight. 10 sealed jars of homemade tomato sauce, roasted tomato sauce. So, we'll go from there. Until next time, happy gardening. Bye.